Welcome back to Battle of the Brains, presented by Virginia 529 College Savings Plan.
And here are the scores following the category round here on Battle of the Brains. Freeman High School with 85 points, Jamestown High School, 85 points. A tie match once again as we check the score. And now back to Battle of the Brains and another toss-up round. Again, questions being directed to teams alternating between them. The first player to raise their hand may answer. That is the answer we accept. There are no point deductions for incorrect answers. And again, because we had a technical difficulty in the first round, we're adding that 1 minute that was left in the toss-up round to this round. So we will start this match with Freeman High School, and here is your question. It became a kingdom in 1701 under Frederick I. It was incorporated into an empire 170 years later under William I. Name this state governed by Frederick the Great before becoming the core of the German Empire. Gio.
Prussia.
Prussia is correct. Jamestown, celiac disease is a digestive order in which patients cannot tolerate what? Caroline.
Gluten.
Gluten is correct. Freeman, he once gave a speech with an attempted assassin's bullet still inside him. Name this 20th century American president who ran for office on the Bull Moose ticket. Joseph.
Teddy Roosevelt.
That is correct. Jamestown. One of the stars of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show was a female sharpshooter. Who was this expert shot whose story was told in the Broadway musical Annie, Get Your Gun? Sam.
Annie Oakley.
Annie Oakley is correct. Freeman, while walking with Benvolio on the Verona Street, he encounters Tybalt, who is angry over uninvited guests at the Capulets' party. Name this friend of Romeo who was slain in the ensuing duel. Joseph.
Mercutio.
Mercutio is correct. Jamestown, he discovered an unknown form of radiation that he called X-rays. Who was this first winner of the Nobel Prize in Physics? Joshua.
Sorry, Roentgen?
William Roentgen is correct. Freeman, what is the first month of the year that has precisely 30 days? Joseph.
April.
April is correct. Jamestown, photographer and environmentalist Ansel Adams was most associated with images of the American West, and in particular, which United States national park? Sam.
Yosemite.
Yosemite is correct. It is said to appear in storms near the Cape of Good Hope. Name this legendary ghost ship that can never make land and is doomed to sail the oceans forever. Freeman. Joseph.
The Flying Dutchman.
That is correct. All right, Jamestown, please watch the screen and listen closely. Here is your Virginia-based question from a member of the Battle of the Brains Brainy Bunch.
The Westin Hotel and Residence Building has a height of 508 feet, making it the tallest building in Virginia. In what city is it located?
Sam.
Alexandria.
It's actually in Virginia Beach. All right, Freeman, in what common household device would you find a bulb, a stem, and a contraction chamber and an expansion chamber? Joseph.
A refrigerator?
It would be in a thermometer. Jamestown, he created such stories as The Tortoise and the Hare and the Goose that laid the golden egg. Name this author of fables which told moral lessons rather than being literally true. Caroline.
Aesop.
Aesop is correct. Freeman, Millefiore is a type of mosaic glass. Spell Millefiore. Joseph.
Millefiori.
That is correct, Millefiore. All right, Jamestown. In 1605, Guy Fawkes was convicted in the famous gunpowder plot for attempting to blow up what building? Sam.
The Tower of London.
It was the Houses of British Parliament or the Palace of Westminster. Freeman, this body of water becomes a tidal river at Trenton and flows by Philadelphia. The eastern boundary of Pennsylvania is formed by what river that Washington famously crossed in 1776? Geo.
The Delaware.
That is correct. Jamestown, in what state are the NBA's Jazz located? Woody. And we just lost Woody. Is anybody else on the team from Jamestown would like to answer? Sam?
Salt Lake City.
No, it would be Utah. And we will try to get Woody back during the break. All right, Freeman, what is the more common name of sodium bicarbonate? Geo.
Baking soda.
That is correct. James, that buzzer means one more toss-up round to go, and we'll see which team moves on to the next round here on Battle of the Brains, so stay with us for that.
Welcome back to Battle of the Brains, presented by Virginia 529 College Savings Plan.
And here are the scores as we head now into the final toss-up round. We have Douglas Freeman High School with 165 points, Jamestown High School with 135 points. And now for this final toss-up round, the point score for a correct answer is doubled, and there's no deduction for an incorrect answer. And again, in this virtual version of Battle of the Brains, we are directing questions team to team, alternating between them. Let's start our final toss-up round. The first question goes to Jamestown. This literary form, known for seasonal references and double meanings, name this brief form of Japanese poetry made up of 3 unrhymed lines of 5, 7, and 5 syllables. Caroline.
Haiku.
Haiku is correct. Freeman, represented by a small dot of light, what single memory location on a display screen do tech buyers measure in millions to determine the quality of resolution? Geo.
Pixels.
Pixels is correct. Jamestown, this mathematical field is made up of numbers in the form of A plus BI, where A is the real number and BI is imaginary. Name this set of numbers with real and imaginary parts. Woody.
Complex.
Complex numbers is correct. Freeman, he rose to Chancellor of England and later Archbishop of Canterbury under Henry II. His opposition to the king's attempts to limit the church's power led to his murder in Canterbury Cathedral. Who is this priest who was canonized in 1173? Joseph.
Becket.
Thomas à Becket is correct. Jamestown, the Constitution of the United States was ratified in 1787 and took effect in 1789. What earlier constitution, which proved inadequate, did it replace? Caroline.
The Articles of Confederation.
That is correct. Freeman, he was an American theoretical physicist and professor of physics at the University of California, Berkeley. He was also the scientific director of the Manhattan Project. Who was this man known as the father of the atomic bomb? Geo.
Oppenheimer.
Robert Oppenheimer is correct. Jamestown, what is the 10-letter scientific term for the study of blood and blood diseases? Joshua?
Hemiology.
It's actually hematology. Freeman, a parliament is a collective or name given to a group of what kind of studious bird? Joseph?
Owl.
Owl is correct. Jamestown, Chimborazo and Cotopaxi are peaks in this mountain range that has the 5 highest volcanoes on Earth at more than 5,000 miles. What is this longest continental mountain range in the world? Sam.
The Andes.
The Andes is correct. Freeman, speaking of volcanoes, molten rock called magma came out in volcanic eruptions during the Earth's early life and turned into hard rock called what? Geo.
Granite. Igneous.
The judge said you said granite first. Igneous is the correct answer. We had to accept your first answer. Jamestown, probably the world's best-known butterfly. It is famed for its migration across North America. Name this butterfly with a bright burnt orange and black vein coloring. Sam.
Monarch butterfly.
That is correct. Freeman, a twin-towered building in New York City was destroyed, and the Department of Defense building in Arlington, Virginia was severely damaged when airplanes hijacked by terrorists crashed into them in 2001. What are the official names of these two buildings? Kieran.
The World Trade Centers and the Pentagon.
Go ahead. Go. Answer again, please.
The World Trade Centers and the Pentagon.
That is correct. Jamestown. On May 1st, 2003, President George Bush landed on the deck of the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln. Hanging from the deck of the carrier was a large banner featuring what two words? Sam.
Mission accomplished.
That is correct. And that buzzer is our final buzzer. While our judges double-check the final score, we want to remind you how to stay connected with Battle of the Brains. To find out more about our show, all you have to do is log on to battleofthebrains.net. You'll also find Battle of the Brains on Facebook and full episodes of our show on YouTube. As we continue round 2 of Battle of the Brains, please join us next week when we virtually welcome teams from Monacan High School of Chesterfield County and Fork Union Military Academy of Fluvanna County. Now, here's the final score for today's match, determining which team will continue on in this season's competition. Ending the match today with a final score of 255 points, our team from Jamestown High School. Great job today by Caroline, Sam, Josh, and Woody. Our winners today, and going on to round 3, the team from Douglas Freeman High School, final score 265 points. Great job today by Gio, Joseph, Kenny, and Kieran. Another great match today. I'm Cheryl Miller. Thanks for watching and playing along here on Battle of the Brains, and we'll see you back here next Saturday morning. Great match.
Battle of the Brains, presented by Virginia 529 College Savings Plan.